In the 21st century, the development of virtual reality role-playing games reached a new height with a brand new artificial intelligence that was able to simulate a virtual world indistinguishable from real life. 10 years later, a high school student named Hiroshi, or Hiro by friends, is struggling to decide what to do with his life after a certain accident. Even when bullies extort him for his pocket money, he does not get upset. Instead, he only focuses on getting a brand new game he pre-ordered. Unfortunately, after arriving to the store, he does not have enough money as the bullies took too much from him. Deciding to try out a second-hand game store to see if they have it in stock, he meets the shop's owner, Riona. Instead of selling him the brand new game he wants, she uses her persuasive skills to convince him to buy a different game. Riona promises that this game is far better than the new trash games that keep getting released. She even promises to meet him in-game and support him through it. On the way home, he realizes that the game he was just tricked into buying is 10 years old. Although he is extremely upset about the whole situation, he still paid a lot of money for it, so he decides to give it a try. Upon starting the game, he is given a vision from the goddess, who tells him that his mission is to defeat the demon lord and save the world, directing him to leave the city he is in and head for Flora Castle. Afterwards, he wakes up in his home and is astounded by the quality of detail in the game, not to mention the shock when he realizes that the game also transmits pain. Then two people enter his room, a beautiful blonde girl Alicia and her brother Martin. They are non-player characters and his childhood friends inside of the game. After inviting him to go pick apples with them, Hiro refuses as he wants to immediately go on to the quest he was given by the goddess, so he asks how to get to the Flora Castle. As soon as he mentions leaving the city, both Martin and Alicia are shocked that he wants to break the law. They reveal that leaving is forbidden and that the forest outside of the city is filled with deadly goblins. Hiro keeps insisting, so Martin tries to beat some sense into him. In the scuffle, Hiro ends up accidentally making Martin stab himself with a knife, killing him on the spot. Alicia freaks out and blames Hiro for causing the death of her brother. Unable to take responsibility for what just happened, Hiro leaves the house and starts running. This triggers a change in Alicia and she gives chase, determined to make him pay for what he did. Hiro manages to hide from her and decides he will just start over by restarting the game. At that moment, Riona finds him with her special fairy support character, which is only visible to other players. She decides to check Hiro's title to see how he is doing in the game and realizes he has killed Martin. Hiro explains it was all an accident and that he wants to restart the game, but Riona states that is impossible as the only way to start a new game is by buying a brand new console for it, which Hiro definitely cannot afford. Then Hiro tells her to just refund the game to him, but she refuses to do that and gives him hope of making things better by telling him about Jinji, another player who is still playing the game and has also killed his childhood friend at the start. Deciding to find him and ask him for advice, Hiro does his best to stay out of sight as he has become a criminal wanted for murder. However, Alicia manages to find him, revealing that she is completely snapped after what happened. She tells him that she always loved him and because of that she will grant him release by killing him and herself, so the two of them can be together with Martin again. With no choice left, Hiro does his best to run away. He wants to exit the game, but the game does not allow him, revealing that Alicia is still on his trail. She strikes at him and cuts his hand, which shocks him yet again because of the amount of pain he feels from it. Riona, who is invisible to Alicia, jumps at her and distracts her long enough to allow for Hiro to get away. Thanks to her, he is able to flee and disconnect from the game. Even though he is upset at the game beyond belief, he is still somehow drawn to it. So when Riona promises she will keep doing her best to help him out, he decides to give it another go. After getting back into the game, he tries to heal the wound on his hand, but he cannot figure out how to use items. Luckily, he bumps into another player who is none other but Jinji. Jinji shows him how to use the healing herbs and decides to listen to him after Hiro says he was looking for him. It turns out that Jinji killed both of his childhood friends in the game, and since then their ghosts have been haunting him, appearing at random times while visible only to him. Although he still plays the game, he has given up on trying to clear it as their game avatars are perfect copies of their own bodies, and his body is in no shape to get the task done. Hiro is ready to completely give up as well, convinced that this game cannot be cleared. But Jinji tells him about one player who has managed to do so before. His name was Kamui, and he overcame every obstacle in record time. Just as Hiro wonders if Jinji could help him out in any way, Jinji suddenly blows his cover and calls for the guards, exposing Hiro for being the wanted murderer. The guards arrive quickly and apprehend Hiro with Jinji's help, giving Jinji a few coins for helping them catch a criminal. It is then that Hiro realizes just what kind of person Jinji really is. Hiro tries to explain that he is a hero and the goddess gave him a mission, but the guards do not care for his story and just throw him into the dungeons. Since Riona did not show up at all, Hiro decides to log out of the game and call it a day, but he is unable to do so, The reason for that becomes apparent soon as Martin's ghost appears in his cell. Although Martin is not hostile, he keeps demanding from Hiro to remember the promise they made in their childhood, which Hiro naturally does not know. Martin continues to harass Hiro, and Hiro's screams for help get the attention of a red-haired girl, Mizurisa. She does not see the ghost, but still decides to let Hiro out of the cell and bring him with her. After she takes him to a room with a single bed and the game asks him if he consents to intense stimulation, Hiro thinks he will get to do something lewd with her. Consenting to it, Hiro goes along with her commands and quickly realizes he signed up for something much different once she restrains him and pulls out her torture equipment. She declares that she will proceed to sever his limbs, which sends Hiro into a panicked frenzy. Rihanna arrives just before the torture begins but proves to be completely useless, as she only cheers him on to endure the torture. With Mizurisa starting to cut into Hiro, he loses control of his bowels and soils himself. This only serves to excite Mizurisa further, but before she can continue, the guard from before bursts into the room, declaring that the captain of the guard, Tesla, has ordered for the torture to be stopped. Although at that point, Hiro has already given up on playing the game and quits immediately. Relieved that he did not end up wetting himself in real life, Hiro remembers the accident from when he just entered high school. Back then, his sister, Keed, was extremely proud of him and was always cheering him on as he was a rather popular track runner. It was during one such running event where many important scouts came to see the young potential that his nerves got the best of him. He had a bad start at the race, and when desperately trying to catch up, he tripped and fell, ending up peeing his pants in front of everyone. Since then, he completely gave up on accomplishing anything and remained in a limbo without any clear goals for his future. In the morning, Keed gets into an argument with Hiro because he was screaming a lot while playing his game. Despite that, Hiro decides to return the game to Riona. While in her store, Riona tells him about Kamui, who became very successful in real life and has attributed his success to this game, as it has prepared him for anything life can throw at him. In addition to that, he has created a walkthrough for the game, so Riona persuades Hiro to take a look at it. Kamui's unbearable personality shines through his walkthrough, which happened to be the main reason why other players never tried to follow it. Despite that, his walkthrough seems to have everything covered, even for Hiro's rather unique situation. Hiro gets fired up to try and play the game once again. Riona manages to push him over the edge and get him back into the game by declaring how she wants to marry someone who is capable of beating that game, except for Kamui, that is. Hiro rushes home and logs back in together with Riona, returning to the dungeon where he wetted himself. There he is unpleasantly surprised to find out how Mizurisa has developed a twisted fondness of him, or rather of his bed-wetting response to her torture. Hiro is brought before Tesla, followed by Riona, who keeps insisting that peeing himself was the reason he was released. However, Tesla reveals that he conducted a thorough investigation of the murder scene and has concluded that the death was an accident and not intended murder. That is why he wants to apologize to Hiro for the harsh treatment and clear his name from the accused crime. Hiro is overjoyed at the news, and after thanking Tesla, he leaves to grab the gear from his home, which he completely missed. But it turns out that the townsfolk still resent Hiro, despite of what the guards have declared. Realizing that he will need more money to survive, Riona directs Hiro to a shady employment agency, which has a reputation of dealing with anyone regardless of their situation. The old lady working there gives him a very disturbing job, which he refuses, and they end up arguing, leaving Hiro without a chance to get a job. Riona figures they might go ask Genji for help, so despite Hiro's objections, they go and ask him for some money to help Hiro start out. This goes as Hiro expected it to go, with him and Genji getting into a fight. Just as Hiro gets the upper hand, Martin appears and interrupts him before disappearing again, leaving Hiro scared and confused. Genji laughs at him and tells him he will get used to it with time. Riona then pressures Genji to give them money as Hiro has bested him in a fight. He gives in and Hiro gets enough money to buy some supplies, but the store clerk he goes to ends up tricking him and extorting all of his money for just 2 smoke bombs. Deciding it is time to get his weapon and gear from home, he sneaks back into the house, but just as expected, Alicia is there waiting on him. Hiro tries to use the smoke bomb to distract her and escape, but he realizes he does not know how to use it properly. Just as Alicia is about to charge him, Mizurisa bursts in through the window and stands to protect Hiro. A fight between Mizurisa and Alicia breaks out, and it draws out Mizurisa's confession on how she wants to torture Hiro to see more of his responses to it. Even though Mizurisa is well-trained, Alicia manages to get the upper hand and knocks her out. Shifting her focus on Hiro, he realizes he is about to get killed, so thinking back on the walkthrough, he remembers he needs to do something that will throw her off. First, he tries to grab her chest, but that does not work. Thinking harder, he proceeds to confess his love to Alicia. This turns out to be the right thing as she stops trying to kill him and instead argues with him. Thanks to that, Hiro realizes that she is so upset because she loves him too, and she loved her brother, who was also really close to Hiro. Instead of confronting Hiro any longer, Alicia runs away in tears and he is left behind with Mizurisa, who regains her senses. Although he is grateful to her at first, as soon as she asks Hiro to let her torture him, he changes his mind about her. Grabbing his sword, Hiro notices it is covered in rust and needs to be fixed by a blacksmith. But before heading to a blacksmith, Hiro goes to the location where he and Martin made their promise, even though he does not know what the promise was. There he calls upon Martin, who appears in his ghost form. Hiro sincerely apologizes for what he did and asks Martin to come along with him on his journey, which triggers the memory of their past to be played. There, Hiro sees exactly what promise they made, and after he recites it to Martin, the ghost starts disappearing. Despite Hiro not wanting him to go, Martin thanks him and vanishes. Rihanna was there observing the whole thing, but she could only see Hiro, so she snaps him out of his sad mood by making fun of him. Just as they are about to head for the blacksmith, bells ring out in the city and smoke starts rising. Rihanna becomes worried as she has never seen an event like this in the game before. Hey, thank you for staying all the way till the end. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. It takes only a second, but it means everything to us. Have a great day and see you in the next video.